Let's talk about the crypto massacre, guys. Last Friday, something not very chill happened. We saw Bitcoin crash. We saw the rest of these cryptocurrencies crash, and it was the largest flash crash that we've ever seen with the crypto market. So, in this video, we're going to talk about what happened last Friday and what this means for the crypto market moving forward. Before we do get into it, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube. Really appreciate your support. I'm also going to put a QR code down below for a Bitcoin tip. So if you want to support the channel, feel free to leave me a little tip. Now let's get into it. So the crash that we saw last Friday, this flash crash, was the largest crypto Bitcoin crash that we've seen in history when you think about dollar terms. We've seen larger crashes when it comes to percentage terms, but we saw the Bitcoin and crypto market cap combined drop somewhere between 500 billion and $1 trillion in like an hour, right? This happened very fast. It was very stressful. I think that it caught a lot of people off guard, and we saw a lot of people get caught off sides. We saw a lot of crypto traders get liquidated. We saw 1.6 million traders get liquidated, and over 19 billion worth of leveraged crypto positions were liquidated within a couple of hours. So this was very stressful. We saw a lot of people get wiped out. Let's go ahead and take a look at a little chart here which shows these liquidations that we saw on October 10th. And as you can see in this chart, it goes from April of this year to present. And right towards the end, you could see we saw a ton of long positions get liquidated. People were loading up. We just hit an all-time high with Bitcoin, with, I don't know about the rest of these cryptocurrencies, but the rest of them were definitely doing well. And because of that, people were getting levered up and going long, and they got caught, right? I think that this was a coordinated attack on the crypto market, on Bitcoin. I think that some people with a lot of money knew that the market was over leveraged, and they used this tariff announcement by Trump as a catalyst to orchestrate this sell-off. So we saw a ton of people get wiped out, and we're going to talk about that orchestrated sell-off in a moment here. We also saw a $20,000 candle on Bitcoin. Now, in the Bitcoin space, we've been talking about these God candles that we're going to see, but we've been expecting them to be candles to the upside. What we got last Friday was a candle to the downside. So if we look at this visual, we could see that Bitcoin recorded its first ever $20,000 daily candle to the downside. So we dropped from above 120K, I think somewhere above $122,000, all the way down to around $102,000, $103,000 before we bounced back up. And we were kind of, after we had that flash crash, we were trading between 110K and 120K. But now, today, we're currently sitting around $107,000. So I think that this definitely took its toll on the Bitcoin market, on the crypto market. There's definitely a lot of fear out there. I checked the fear and greed index yesterday for Bitcoin, and I believe it was at 22. So this may have set us back a little bit when we think about all that bullish momentum, all that bullish sentiment. It seems like so many people got wrecked last Friday that who knows, we may be sticking around in these in this lower 100K range before we head higher, and who knows, we could even go lower. Now, I believe that this was an orchestrated crash. We know that people with a lot of money and influence, they love to play with the markets. They love to play with the stock market. They love to play with the crypto market and Bitcoin. We also know that Trump loves to manipulate the markets. And when we got this announcement last Friday that he was threatening 100% tariffs on China, I think that I knew it was bullshit, and I think that the rest of the markets probably knew that he was bluffing here, right? This isn't the first time that we've seen Trump lie, say he's going to do something with tariffs and then take it back to move the market. So we've seen what happens when the US tries to put these heavy tariffs on the rest of the world. Back in April, we saw the stock market crash. We saw the bond market crash at the same time. And that's a recipe that the United States can't have. When we try to put these aggressive tariffs on China, on our largest trading partners, on the rest of the world, what it does is it starves the world of dollar liquidity, and that can't happen, right? Because the world needs dollars. This dollar system needs liquidity to keep rising. Before we even got this post from Trump about the tariff threat, we saw markets selling off. We saw the stock market selling off last Friday. The S&P 500 dropped 2.7%. And before we even got this post, we saw Bitcoin drop from around $122,000 down below $115,000. We saw a lot of these other cryptocurrencies dropping even more percentage-wise. And this tells me that people knew about this announcement, right? People knew that this was going to happen. Now, I'm not sure if this was large players who are close to Trump, but somehow people got word of this announcement. People knew it was coming, and they started selling off prior to the announcement. The announcement happened at 4:50 p.m. Eastern Time last Friday, so right after the markets close, and I think that that's on purpose, right? Trump knew what he was doing there. When he makes these tariff threats and these announcements, he always does them at a certain time, like Sunday night or Friday, right after the markets close. And this left the crypto market vulnerable, right? Because the stock market had just closed. The only way for people to express this negative sentiment was in the crypto market. So we saw the crypto market get wrecked. Something interesting we saw last Friday was this crypto whale who was placing $1 million shorts on Bitcoin and Ethereum up to 1 minute before Trump made this tariff threat announcement. This crypto whale profited $190 million in just around 30 minutes. And this whale, who was on the hyperliquid decentralized exchange, obviously knew something was up, right? Obviously knew about this tariff announcement prior to it happening, and obviously knew that other large players were shorting the market as well. And I think that when you get a lot of these large players together and they kind of coordinate directly or indirectly because they see that everyone is over leveraged, that's how you can get a big crash like this. After traditional markets closed last Friday, we saw Bitcoin and crypto nosedive. I talked about how Bitcoin dropped from above $120,000 to below $105,000. And a lot of these other cryptocurrencies got wrecked even more. We saw a lot of cryptos drop over 50% in just around half an hour. One of these was XRP, which is a very popular cryptocurrency. And on Binance, we saw that some cryptocurrencies briefly showed a price of zero. On Binance, for example, Atom, which is a cryptocurrency, I don't know what it's used for, but it dropped to zero on the exchange, while on rival exchanges, it dropped by around 53%. So this had something to do with the liquidity on Binance and some issues that they were having, and they came out and issued a statement, and I think that they reimbursed some of their customers for some of the issues they were having. But this was a very chaotic day. Binance was having issues. Coinbase was having issues. I was trying to move a little bit of Bitcoin around on Coinbase. I couldn't do it. And the fees that Coinbase was showing were very amazing to me. We saw so much activity on the Bitcoin network. So moving Bitcoin, if you wanted to move a couple $100 worth of Bitcoin, it was like a $500 fee at one point. So it was just a crazy day, very chaotic. And while Bitcoin got wrecked, we saw a lot of these other cryptocurrencies get destroyed even more. Now, I want to look at one last visual here, which shows the Bitcoin open interest. And what this open interest measures is the amount of these futures contracts, so these long positions that are in place. And if we look at this chart towards the end of it, we could see that we saw a ton of open interest. So right around the beginning of October, towards the end of this chart, we could see that a lot of people were going long on Bitcoin, right? They were taking out leveraged positions thinking that we were going higher. And towards the end, you could also see, it's this green shaded area, that open interest just fell off a cliff. After October 10th, we saw open interest hit an all-time high in early October. And I think that this may have been an indicator for these large players that the market was a bit over leveraged and that it may be a good time to catch the market offsides and make a quick profit. So when open interest is super high, it can signal that the market's over leveraged, right? And people are taking out a ton of debt and going long. And people took advantage of this. And now we're in a much different place, right? Now there's a lot more fear in the market, and it may take some time for us to build back up that confidence. To wrap it up here, I think that this should just be a reminder to us that large players love to play with the market, and this makes short-term investing very difficult. I didn't see this crash coming, and I don't think a lot of other people saw it coming. I think that once we broke an all-time high last Monday, people thought we were going higher, but now we're back in the lower 100K range. So this really was very unexpected to me, and really this is a great warning about using leverage as well. Now, I think that using leverage can be smart, right? But you just have to be smart about it and the way you use it. And a lot of these people, these traders who went super long on crypto and Bitcoin got wrecked last Friday. So just a great reminder that using leverage has its risks. And it's also a great reminder to stick to Bitcoin and not crypto, right? While Bitcoin did have a big drop, Bitcoin recovered and went back up to that 110K to 120K range, while a lot of these other cryptocurrencies went down over 50%, right? Some of them went down a ton. And really, for most of these other cryptocurrencies, I don't really see the value proposition. So if you are new to this space, I think that you should learn about Bitcoin. And once you learn about Bitcoin, you learn how it's different from these other cryptocurrencies. And, although we saw this dip in Bitcoin, I think it's presenting a great buying opportunity here around $107,000. So it's a great opportunity to stack. And I still think that the outlook for Bitcoin is looking great. We're going to get some rate cuts here. We're looking at a good macro environment and continued demand, continued bullish news. So I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. That's going to wrap it up for this one. If you didn't like and subscribe yet, please make sure to do that now. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.